DC Fandome. It's all about the DC Universe. And it all begins right now.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Hops Geek News. I am one of your two co-hosts, Mash, and with me as always is the Hoppy Mommy.
Hey.
Ooh, what you got there? That can look kind of cool.
It is a pretty sweet can. It's Kings County Brewers Collective in Brooklyn, New York. They have a lot of cans that look very comic booky. This one kind of reminds me of Ghost Rider.
It does. I was about to say, is that a Ghost Rider can? I just got one that's like a robotic fish from them.
Yeah, I've had that one. That one's pretty good. I haven't tried it yet. Let me see. Oh, it's brewed in collaboration with Elsewhere. I'm gonna pretend that says Elseworlds today since we're talking about DC.
We're talking a lot of good things today.
So it's an India Pale Ale with Mosaic, Matuka, Centennial, and Amarillo hops. It's 6.9%. So, but yeah, they have stuff that like will resemble Captain America and resemble other superheroes, but they never actually like totally.
They do. Yeah, I saw they have a Rambo one they just came out with too, and I was like, this thing is pretty sweet. They're probably some of my favorite can arts that I've seen out there just because it's so comic booky.
Right. And then I had to put it in Wonder Woman.
Oh yes, the Wonder Woman. If you're a Wonder Woman fan, we'll get into it, but that was some of the best panels that we've gotten as far as DC. It's a good time to be a DC fan if you're me, at least, which we'll get into here in just a minute. But I'm deep diving a little bit. So I've been holding on to one of these bad boys. It's a collaboration, Elder Pine out of Pennsylvania. They did a collaboration with one of my favorite bands, August Burns Red, and it's called Bones. It's a farmhouse ale with guava and pineapple, and it's 6.4%. And it tastes just like juice, like an old person juice that you'd pop open, like a V8 Splash or something like that. But it's not your traditional farmhouse ale that's all yeasty. It actually just tastes like pineapple juice, which is wicked good. And I've honestly been sitting on this for a couple of months, but I chose to pick it out because we had some excellent Batman news, and the trailer dropped, and he left somebody in a pile of bones, and then the Batman logo was red. So we're burning red in August, baby. But yeah, today, aside from the beers that we just kind of talked about, we have some news. There's some news, but yesterday was DC's Fandome event, which pretty much was just a Comic-Con online, and you spent 8 hours of your life, or going in and out like I did, just kind of catching some trailers. There's a lot of good news that came out, which we're going to get to here very, very soon. We're going to kind of break down everything that came out. But first, I think there was some news that came out, and then as always, what kind of stuff did you read or watch this week? I know for me, I read Darth Vader #4, which this run of Darth Vader takes place in between Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi, like I've talked about, and he's trying to find Padme's killer. Well, he doesn't really realize that, spoiler alert, if you've never seen Star Wars, he kind of killed her, but there's also like a running theory that Palpatine took her life force and gave it to Anakin so that Anakin didn't die. Nonetheless, he's on Naboo, he's hunting for her killers, and there's like a lot of good callbacks to a lot of characters that you've met in the prequel movies that actually were part of her royal guard. So it's a really good comic storyline so far. There are only 4 issues in, so it's not too late to catch up. And then I also read Flash, I believe it was issue 759, and with that, big spoiler alert again, Reverse Flash has taken over Barry Allen's body, and so he's kind of causing mayhem and all that kind of stuff. And then I finished Titan Season 2, which probably is my favorite DC show out right now. So if anybody can get on Titan Season 2, I won't spoil it, even though it finished last November. But a lot of good things. What about you? What do you got going on? I know we got The Boys coming out soon.
Yeah, so I just finished volume 1 of The Boys. I went to the comic shop yesterday. They did not have 2, but he's ordering it for me. But at least I've read 1 because next week we'll be talking more about that. But very, very different from the show. I'll go into more detail on that when we talk about it next week. But they really put the graphic in graphic novel. So they went up to a level I have not read in a comic book myself before. But no, it's really good. Very different. And I really don't want to say much else about it because we're going to go into depth next week. And I've been watching Doom Patrol because you told me to watch Doom Patrol. And it is just the most out there comic book show I have ever watched.
Yeah, what do you think so far? I'm interested to see because it's different. It's not your traditional
No.
heroes. I mean, yeah, everyone's kind of messed up in their own right, but it is very different. They're not just beating people's faces in left and right. It's more like meticulous than that, and
right.
Just well, it's different.
It's more like I'm on season 2 now, and it's more like they're not actually superheroes. They don't want to be. They got tricked into having these powers, and it's like they're almost being guilted into being superheroes when they'd rather just live in their own self-deprecation because everything bad that's happened to them. But anybody who hasn't watched it, yeah, it's on HBO Max. It is very entertaining, but it's like you just have to be prepared for. You have no idea what's going. I mean, there are ghost sex demons, and there's a donkey that swallows a town, and there's just, I mean, every episode there's something
thrown up by a donkey.
Right. It's like one of my kids will walk in for a second, and they're like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, I'll have to find myself. My son likes to come out every 5 minutes when you put him to bed, and he has to tell a different animal goodnight, and so it's like we start watching it, and you got someone's yelling fuck, or they're coming out of a donkey's ass or something like that, and we're like, oh god, quick, pause,
Right.
so the 4-year-old isn't getting weird ideas. But to describe Doom Patrol to somebody who hasn't really seen it, it's just one of those, like, you're right, they don't want to be heroes. They were kind of inadvertently created, and you have Brendan Fraser, like one of the opening scenes is Brendan Fraser just smashing out the nanny. It's like, I never wanted to see Brendan Fraser in a sex scene ever in my life.
Maybe like in a Dino Man. Not now.
Like Brendan Fraser of the 2000s when he was in The Mummy, maybe, but Brendan Fraser, I love him, but he has not aged well.
No.
So it's just like, oh god.
If he hadn't gained a bunch of weight, he would have been fine. But his catchphrase is "What the fuck," which basically is also everybody else's reaction to every scene in the show.
You're not watching the show without saying "what the fuck" at least 9 times an episode.
Right. But it is interesting, and I always love when they do break the fourth wall a little bit with some of these shows because, they're silly and fun, and you get lost in them. But we all love when Deadpool breaks the fourth wall. So I liked when Mr. Nobody breaks the fourth wall. So, and he does that immediately. So
he does.
Yeah, I do recommend that. And I also finished the series finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, how did you like it? Notes without spoilers. Some of people who may listen to this.
I won't spoil it at all. Yeah, no, I won't spoil it. I liked how they ended it. They wrapped things up, which I always like my season or series finale to be wrapped up nicely with a nice, pretty bow. And they did a pretty good job of that. I would love to see cameos in the future of the characters that survived the whole series, because obviously along the years you lost people, and some people came back like every superhero show. But I thought they did a good job. I'm almost curious to go back and watch again to see, how whenever you finish a show, you kind of want to go back to the beginning if it's something you loved. But I almost don't want to do that to myself because season 1 was so bad.
I've never really seen the show. Like, I've watched a little bit of season 1, but like you said, it was so bad that I was just like, oh, what is this? I wasn't really feeling it. And so I'm a Marvel fan, but not as big a Marvel fan as you are. So that's also one of those things. The season 1 was so bad, it kind of turned me off. But so did they kind of tie it in with any of the movies near the end? Did they leave it so that they could enter the movies, or is it just kind of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s done? And
well, it was. They definitely could still tie it into the movies. There was no mention of Thanos or Snap or anything. I had been waiting for that since Infinity War. Yeah, that was disappointing. But there was, I will say, there was time travel in the season finale, and the way that they explained time travel, my daughter goes, "That's exactly how they explained it in Infinity or in Endgame." So it was consistent with that. There were a few references. I think I mentioned this one last week where the one guy says to Coulson, he goes, "I saw the future and you get stabbed by some guy with pointy horns and a long stick," and he's talking about Loki.
Right.
So there were some references to it, and they could definitely very easily bring them in, but there weren't any huge nods to the movies at the end. Like when the show first started, I mean, they had a whole episode where they were cleaning up Thor's mess after the Dark World. So you don't see that. They kind of do their own thing more so, but they also go into space, and there's a little bit of time travel, and they go into another time stream kind of thing. So they're not exactly in the exact same timeline with the MCU movies, but I think they did a good job. I was happy with it.
Yeah, I see. I like more at least they kind of tie it more into the movies than say like the Marvel and Netflix shows where you get like little hints here and there, but you don't outright see anything. And I'm a sucker. If you tie it into like the movies, and I'm just sitting there like, I got that reference. Then of course I'm sucked in right from the start. And I knew Shield did do some of that, and especially some of the characters they did bring in and things like that. So I'm sure eventually I'll go ahead and watch it, maybe at some point, and then I'm gonna be like, why didn't I watch this when it first came out? This is the greatest thing ever. Because some of those things I'm just behind the curve so far.
Well, there's just so many shows too. You can't watch them all. But I guess before we get into all the DC breaking news, we should do some other random breaking news.
There is other news besides just the DC world, yes. Saturday was for DC, but we had been waiting to kind of record to catch up on that. However, there was some other news going on, like we have another holiday special coming from Star Wars. Now, don't get it. This isn't the same one that we all saw in 1978 that just should never have seen the light of day ever because you had creepy Chewbacca and
Have
I
you
don't
seen
really
it?
know what was going on. I have. It was bad. It's so
Where do you
bad.
see it?
Oh
I
my
wanna
God.
see it. I heard
think I saw it on like YouTube years ago.
Okay.
Yep, Boba Fett's in it. You have like the creepiest Chewbacca. There's like I think there's little Ewoks if I remember. It was the most horrific like thing on earth. Your mom, like, ask her. She probably might have seen it like when it first aired.
Yeah.
But I think I saw it on YouTube a few years ago, and they have done such a good job of just trying to erase that from anybody's memory. But once you've seen it one time, it's one of those things that it will never leave your brain. It is horrifying.
I'll never
But
leave the brain.
it will never leave. You just have like the creepy Chewbacca just seared into your mind forever. And it's just one of those things that wakes you up in cold sweat. But November 17th, Disney Plus will be streaming a Lego Star Wars holiday special. So you're gonna have Rey, Finn, Poe. They're celebrating Life Day, and it's like just their own version. Lego, I think it could work with Lego, but just don't ever try to do it live action again. Some things should never see the light of day.
Well, that's fun, and that'll be something you watch with the kids too. So that's nice.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, and then I know we talked a couple weeks ago, but Spirit of Halloween is indeed opening. I haven't seen any open around me yet, but they should be open like any time now. And Halloween's still going on, whether we can trick or treat or not. In which, if we can't, I'm still gonna walk around in a costume because it's Halloween, damn it, and I'm gonna live it up. It's a Saturday this year.
Yep, Hocus Pocus and Nightmare will be on repeat in this house, and it will be spooky no matter what. But yeah, there's some of them by us that are already open.
Oh yeah, get to your local. I gotta start planning my Halloween costumes. We have no idea. I think we might be some sort of superheroes. My son's all dressed up like Black Panther right now. That's like his latest thing, and he wants to be Cyborg of all people as well. So I'm sure we'll be some sort of superhero.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be superhero zombies, but we let the 8-year-old pick, and she changes it every day or every week. But
One
she
day
was
it's like we're doing this. The next day it's like actually we're gonna do this. And I will never do anything with like green makeup again. A couple of years ago we had a Halloween party and I was Frankenstein. Well, I got entirely too drunk playing drinking games because I was like, I'm at home, make me drunk. And I ended up getting hiccups and I was crawling to the bathroom, and like the next day you wake up and there's like green handprints just smeared all over the like the floorboards of me just crawling to the bathroom. And so I'll never dress up again.
You're Frankenstein's monster. Yeah, I had a friend who was a pirate one year with white face paint, and we all went to, it was when I lived in Fort Lauderdale, we all went to Hard Rock. And we all were covered in white face paint thanks to Chad. He was just hugging everybody and taking pictures, and I mean he had a thick layer of like white and pirate paint with red on him. It was terrible.
It ended up everywhere else.
Yes, everywhere else. All right, well, some of my breaking news was, I know I've mentioned Supernatural a few times. So they are in Vancouver. They should be shooting now. They are set to resume the last 7 episodes on October 7th or 8th. Damn it, I lost it. But yeah, so it's going to be on October 7th or 8th. And that'll be a lot of fun because I love watching Supernatural at Halloween. But Jensen Ackles, who plays Dean, has also just been cast for season 3 of The Boys. And he's playing Soldier Boy, which I'm very excited about. I haven't gotten to him in the Boys comics I'm reading yet, but I'm looking forward to it because apparently he is a riff on Captain America, but he's not the brightest crayon in the box. And so I'm really looking forward to this. And Eric Kripke, who did Supernatural, worked with him years ago in Supernatural and works on The Boys, he's like, oh, I can't wait to have Dean in the Prime universe, where we can, because it's on Amazon Prime, where we can say whatever we want to say, and I don't have to edit him as much as you have to edit their characters in Supernatural.
Yeah.
So like one of the best episodes in Supernatural was when they were filming a TV show in Supernatural and they kept just beeping out Dean. He kept cursing and they just kept doing the beep because they could get away with that. So I'm very excited to see that. And my last piece of Marvel news before we break into the DC world. Actually, The Boys is DC. But so Olivia Wilde is actually going to be directing a movie that's part of the Spider-Verse. We don't know what movie yet. We don't know the title. There's rumors that it's Spider-Woman, but she is going to be directing some sort of Spider-Verse movie in the near future. So that's pretty cool, and I'm looking forward. I'd love to hear one about Spider-Woman.
Yeah.
Never hear about.
She's a pretty good director too. I know I can't think off the top of my head. She's directed a few things. She's relatively newer to it, but she's a really good actress in everything that she's always been in, and so I'm excited to see what she does there. And I would like to see, like, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Woman, some sort of riff off of your traditional, because you have like the Miles Morales Spider-Man, you have the traditional Spider-Man, so it'd be cool to see some of those other characters because there are so many of them. And going back real quick to the Soldier Boy casting, fun fact, Jensen Ackles was actually auditioned for the role of Captain America and almost got it at one point.
Yeah.
So the fact that he gets to play kind of like a spoof on it is really going to be exciting.
Yeah, that makes it better. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I remember reading it like a long time ago, and then I forgot about it, and then I saw the casting come out, and they're like, yeah, he auditioned for Captain America, and I was like, that's right, he almost got it, but then Chris Evans, and just, how could you not cast Chris Evans based off just his aura that he gives off, because he's such a beautiful, chiseled man. But I will be very interested, because I think he'll play it really well, especially considering it's going to be in this kind of no-holds-barred universe where he can just kind of do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Jensen Ackles actually has ownership in a brewery in Austin, Texas called the Family Business Brewing or Brewery. His brother-in-law, I believe, is one of the brewers because his wife is super active in posting things about it. But I haven't been there. It's on my bucket list. I've met people who have been there. I actually stopped somebody at the grocery store a few months ago because they had a family business shirt on. And I met somebody at Stone Brewing last October that had the hat on. And he's like, I've never seen the show, but yeah, the beer was really good. So, and Family Business is from Supernatural. They're in the family business of, killing monsters.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, Austin, Texas is just one of those places I've heard that's pretty sneaky for beer. There's a lot of really good beer in Texas in general, which I never really quite thought of. But Houston, Austin are like the two big ones. And I think even San Antonio. Of course, you have Weathered Souls. That's just a big brewery right now. But there are some other sneaky ones. You have Jester King, I believe, is not too far away. So there's a lot of good breweries in Texas, which I'd really love to get to. In Austin, anyways, I mean, you have South by So What. It's kind of a hipster town, from what I've been told, which speaks to my soul in general. So.
Well, Austin, yeah, that's when it's supposed to be one of those beer spots that you need to visit. So I was hoping to do that this summer, and obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, I've been to San Antonio. We went to a really old brewery. It's like Southerly Brewery, but it was in like the Pearl District. That was really, so it was a really old building. So that was really cool. But we didn't do too much brewery hopping. I wish I'd known about Weathered Souls then.
Yeah.
But when you travel, you have to pick and choose, especially when you're with kids. But yeah, I want to get to Austin. That's definitely on my to-do list.
I'm actually pretty bummed out. Weathered Souls, they released their Black is Beautiful glass again yesterday through 17% drip. And it's twice in a row. I was trying to get Pontoon. They released a Super Smickles, like the Super Fruit Smickles. And I have a friend going to Atlanta next week. So I was going to pre-order it and have her pick it up. But I was 30 minutes late and it sold out within 5 minutes. And I was like, God damn it. And then again, yesterday, I kind of fell asleep on the couch like an old man. And 30 minutes later, the same glass was sold out within 30 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, because that glass is beautiful. I really wanted to get it.
It is.
I missed out on both. And yeah, I've been to San Antonio. I spent 8.5 weeks there for basic training, and that's all I've experienced with San Antonio. So I'd like to really get back and explore when I'm not so robot, whatever, military industrial complex robots.
Well, the fact that it keeps selling out, I'm sure they'll keep, because I'm from Pour character, P-O-U-R, so multiple places are doing it and they keep selling out, so they got to keep making them. But yeah, it is a really nice class.
This is definitely a movement I don't see going away anytime soon. So probably especially as we get to the holidays and things like that, I can see them releasing a lot more. And you can go and get like a lot of the
Peppermint.
shirts. They just released more shirts. What's that?
I need a peppermint stout.
Oh man, yes. I see. I'm already getting ahead of myself. I'm looking forward to Hallmark Christmas movies too.
Oh,
I
God,
was just
that's
thinking about
terrible.
Hallmark Christmas movies the other day. I like to sit there and drink and watch Hallmark Christmas movies, so I might
can't do
sneak a
it.
little Hallmark Christmas movie episode into here.
I will have no contribution to that one.
It's just me geeking out over the crappy Hallmark Christmas movies that are the same thing, just different characters.
I try. I really do because I love Christmas and they're always on, and I put them on, and I'm just like trying not to vomit. They're so god awful terrible.
They're the worst things ever made. It's always like girl leaves New York City's like corporate life to go back home, and then she falls in love with a farm boy and stays in the farmland. I'm like, hell no, I'm not leaving New York City and my $100,000+ a year job to go live on a farm. Hell no.
It's funny because my dad likes them too. I actually got him for Christmas one year. The socks say, "If you can read these, I'm watching Hallmark Christmas movies."
I need that because that's usually what you're gonna find me doing. I'll come home, the wife and I will sit there, we'll get wine or I'll pop open a beer and we just like make drinking games out of it, and
Yeah,
it's
then it's
awful.
not so bad if you make a drinking game out of it, because that's probably got to be really easy to make a drinking game out of a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Oh, it's the easiest, and it's also dangerous because especially if you have to work the next day because then you're just drunk and it makes for a terrible time. But
Right.
I'm in for those.
So bad. Yeah, but yeah, let's think about Halloween for. It's still August. We still have time.
Still, no, the way I see it is pumpkin spice has started to release. I actually just drank one before this episode, and so September starts like next week, the week after. So as far as I'm concerned, we're in Halloween mode now. They have Halloween candy on the shelves. I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah, next Tuesday, September 1st. Is pumpkin spice out for Starbucks yet?
My local Starbucks has a counter, and it's down to 3 days.
It's down to
Not that I've seen it.
Okay, good to know because that's
It
usually
says 321 PSL, and they're like shapes of pumpkins with the numbers on them. So 3 days.
all right. That's the most basic thing about me is I love my pumpkin spice lattes. Yeah.
Immensely, it's terrible.
Yeah, I will own that one. The pumpkin beers, some are good, some are bad, some are over the top, but the pumpkin spice lattes, I fucking love those.
I will agree with the pumpkin beers because it gets to a point, some of them try to add too many spices or nutmeg or make it too pumpkin-y, and it's just like,
Yeah.
no, man, it's just too sweet at that point. It gives me a stomach ache. Whereas
Right.
I like traditional, like the Southern Tier makes really good ones. Obviously, Shipyard, I will die on the hill of Shipyard.
Theirs is a little sweet, but yeah.
It has gotten sweeter in recent years, I feel like. But Southern Tier has been pretty consistent and those kind of beers, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Can't
Cigar
wait.
City and Tampa Beer, or not Tampa Beer Works. Tampa Brewing Company both make really good ones. Gourd's Gone Wild, and then Cigar City does the Good Gourd. Those are both really good pumpkins. And Cigar City is pretty widely distributed, so anybody who is listening to us and likes pumpkin beer, if you see that one on your shelves, I recommend getting that one. That one's good. All right. Enough pumpkin beer in August.
Enough pumpkin beer in August. We'll get to this. This kind of ties in with Halloween because there's going to probably be a lot of newer costumes coming out.
Ah.
DC Fandome was yesterday, and I am a gigantic DC nerd, and so it was an 8-hour event, which they played 3 times over a 24-hour period, and you had panels like Wonder Woman, so they had like Chris Pine, Kristen Wiig, Gal Gadot. Linda Carter made an appearance, Patty Jenkins, they were on the Wonder Woman panel. You had The Flash, so you had the director, the writer, and then Ezra Miller showed up for the Flash movie. You had Matt Reeves, the Batman. They released a trailer for that. You had some DC show talks. You had the Suicide Squad, which is James Gunn. And obviously you had a couple video games. So we had Gotham Knights, Court of Owls. We had Black Adam. There's another video game, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. And then the one that we've all been waiting for 3-4 years now is Scott Snyder's. Oh, Scott Snyder. Jesus, I wrote Scott Snyder. Well, that's a comic book writer. God. Zack Snyder's The Justice League trailer dropped, and so did my pants, coincidentally. But yeah, yesterday was a great day, and so we'll kind of break down. We'll start Wonder Woman 1984, since that was kind of the first panel to go off of. Kristen Wiig is obviously going to be the villain Cheetah. You had Maxwell Lord, which is Pedro Pascal, who also plays the Mandalorian. Maxwell Lord he gets like this power where he can give you anything you want.
And that's how we get Steve.
I'm thinking that's how we get Steve. So
Yeah.
obviously Chris Pine's and Steve Trevor, he's coming back, and then Gal Gadot is back as Wonder Woman again. And did you watch the trailer? Did you have a chance to watch it yet?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I think it looks really good. I think you're going to have a lot of funny scenes where they're going to play off the 80s and play off, Steve, not having been around for decades. And so you already saw that with he was like flying a jet or something. And he's like, oh, they can't find me. And I thought she was going to say that's because it's invisible. And she goes,
I was waiting for that too.
and she goes, well, there's radar now. So I guess then they found them. And of course
he was like, are they going to shoot me?
Right. So I'm very interested, though, to see Kristen Wiig because obviously I love her as a comedian. So, I mean, she's probably, I'm sure, going to be bringing some funny lines. I can't imagine her just being 100% serious the whole time and just evil. Agreed. So hopefully we get to see some of that Thor, good action, good story, but humor in there like the MCU has basically nailed. And yes. That DC needs, and the CW shows have that in there. You have Cisco in there to make those one-liners and whatnot, but the DC movies haven't fully grasped that yet. It's like they're so dark, and then they try to make a funny, and it just like doesn't stick.
So I think, and I agree. I like the more. So DC's always been kind of the less campy. Like they're campy, but they're not like over the top. Whereas Marvel, they make. That's one of the things I hated about Age of Ultron. Was the just bad timing of jokes, and you saw that in Joss Whedon's version of the Justice League, the ill-timed jokes. They tried to like course correct too far in that they didn't let anything happen organically. Whereas Wonder Woman 1, you did see a lot of those like funny jokes whenever, Diana's walking around London and she wants to go get the ice cream, and then it's things like that. So I'm looking forward to that because I think her and Chris Pine really had a lot of good chemistry.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to him probably disappearing or dying again. He's got to. He can't stick around because he's not in the
same thing.
Yeah. So I don't want them to overdo that. That's probably one of my like bigger fears is we're just going to keep seeing Steve Trevor die over and over. It's kind of going to be like Batman's parents just dying in every movie with Batman.
Say who killed Penny, but yeah.
Yeah. So I am nervous about that. However, I think that it's going to be, I trust Patty Jenkins. She's a phenomenal director. She directed Monster, which is a really good movie. And then obviously we have her Wonder Woman 1. So this one, if you've ever seen Kristen Wiig has played in, I can't remember think of the name now, but she's played in more serious roles, and she actually kills the serious roles. So I know she's known for Saturday Night Live or other comedic things, but she does a really good job of playing the more serious, disturbed kind of thing.
I'll have to, because I've seen her like Bridesmaids, Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I mean, she's always hilarious. I mean, even like years ago in Knocked Up, she played a minor character, but she was still hilarious. So yeah, she's got to bring some comedic value.
Yeah, I'm sure she will, but then obviously Barbara Minerva, she kind of has whatever going on with her, and she eventually becomes Cheetah. So I'm wondering if, like, obviously Maxwell Lord probably is going to give her what she wants because she wants to be more powerful, tired of being ignored, and then somehow it's going to transform her, that double-edged sword, into the Cheetah. And then I'm sure her and Diana are friends in some way because in the comics they were like really good friends at one point, and that's kind of how they have that feud with one another because I believe Barbara was jealous, I could be mistaken, of Wonder Woman's powers, and she was kind of wanting that, and that's what happens. So I got really excited. Yeah, and I think it's supposed to release October 2nd for now, but we'll see if that happens. I don't know. Movie theaters are slowly opening. They're playing Empire Strikes Back right now and a lot of old movies. So
yeah, ours are open in Orlando. They're doing like 15-cent movie days. I think they're testing it out to see if people will come. But yeah, Wonder Woman looks awesome. Very excited. And for me, not having a familiar background with DC Comics, only knowing what I've learned from watching a million Batman movies since 1989, most of the CW shows, like these are two villains I have no experience with whatsoever. So I think that'll actually be more fun for me as well. Like we mentioned last week, how a lot of my friends didn't know Mysterio was a villain. Like I have no background knowledge here for those characters. So I'm actually excited to be completely in the dark. So yeah, that one looks amazing.
Maxwell Lord, I'm not too familiar with, but Pedro Pascal looks amazing. So I'm excited. He's a great actor, anyways. In anything he's been in, Game of Thrones, Mandalorian, things like that, phenomenal. So I am excited for that. Next, we had I'm going to jump around a little bit from what I'm reading here, but we had Black Adam, which, if anybody knows Black Adam, he is an ancient character who has like the Shazam powers. He is from Kandak, which is like a fictional Egyptian kind of type area. And in this movie, we obviously have The Rock, which The Rock playing him, I don't see him being an all-out bad guy because you can't make The Rock be a full-on bad guy.
I mean, you could. It would actually be a lot of fun because he would be that guy that you love to hate.
Yeah, see, I want him to be a full-on bad guy because he always plays that anti-hero, which Black Adam kind of does serve the anti-hero role in a lot of ways. But
even in Moana, he was an anti-hero.
He was kind of that asshole, but at the same time, he still kind of saved the day. So it was one of those like, oh, okay, you know what you're getting with The Rock, and he's got a lot of charisma anyway. So I'm really excited to finally see him maybe bring some life to some lesser-known characters that have never been on the big screen. We're getting the Justice Society of America in this movie, so I think maybe part of it might take place in the way back. And then also I want to say it'll also take place obviously current time because he teased conflict. Obviously him and Shazam are arch enemies. And then Superman actually fights Black Adam quite a bit. So if we can get like a Superman Shazam team up with Zachary Levi and Henry Cavill taking on The Rock, I am going to give him all my money. But yeah, Hawkman and Dr. Fate are two of the characters confirmed, which Dr. Fate is like, he's like a Doctor Strange type character in that he's very mystical. The character, I can't remember the character's name. He puts on this helmet that kind of like gives him all the powers, and he's like an evil side to him, sort of. So he's extremely powerful. And then Hawkman, Hawkgirl, they have like their
legends.
You're right. So
for like Egyptian mythology kind of thing.
Yep. And so I'm excited to see kind of some of those characters. I think we have Atom Smasher, which if you've seen the Netflix movie Kissing Booth, the main character in that, my wife watches those movies and I've watched it by proxy. Awful movies, but the main character, it is on par with Hallmark. It's the cheesy like teen romance. Kissing, I don't know. It's called Kissing Booth. There's two of them, and their main character, I believe he's the boyfriend, is going to be playing Atom Smasher. So a lot of lesser known characters kind of coming into play here for DC, and you just kind of got a teaser, so there really wasn't much else other than just The Rock flexing on camera, which is enough to make
it wasn't even a real trailer. It was like images they took and kind of made it look very comic booky. So I think it was just to kind of let us know. I don't know if you saw Shazam. I didn't watch any trailers for Shazam, but they have a November 4th, 2022 release date, and it's going to be called Fury of the Gods.
Ooh, I wonder if Black Adam's going to be in that at all, because he's kind of like a god and they're arch enemies. So I think if the Black Adam movie comes out before Shazam, then they'll probably squeeze him into that movie.
That's what I was wondering.
David Sandberg, who just directed the last Shazam, he did a phenomenal job. He's a really good director. And so I kind of hope they get some Shazam versus Black Adam, and then maybe we can get a Superman cameo in there because they've been teasing that as well. No Superman news yesterday, which is pretty disappointing. I was really hoping we'd get some Henry Cavill Superman news, especially with the Black Adam, but yeah, we didn't get any of that.
Yeah, that does seem kind of weird to have a DC day and no Superman news. Did you see Deadpool made an appearance at one point?
Did he?
So one of the guy that was playing the music, he had a Deadpool statue in the background, and it was dressed like Batman.
I did not. So I was like in and out a lot of the day because, as you know, I was DJing a wedding yesterday.
Right.
Made my DJ debut. It went pretty well, I'm not gonna lie. But DJing a wedding is like the last thing I ever expected myself to be doing. So I was sitting at the table, and as trailers came out, I'm like putting my head underneath the table, trying to listen to the audio, watch the videos, and making sure there's like songs queued up. And I was like, oh my god! So I was doing a lot of that. I did catch the Flash panel. Flash, the movie, we finally have a director. The guy who directed the It movies, his name escapes me at this moment. I had it written down, can't find it.
Terrifying.
Andy Musniak, I want to say, might be his name. Anyways, he's going to be directing. I think we're doing Flashpoint.
Yes, they said they're doing Flashpoint.
We are doing Flashpoint, which is my favorite Flash storyline. If anybody knows Flashpoint, it's Barry goes back, saves his mom, which sets off a whole chain reaction of Aquaman and Wonder Woman, the Atlanteans and Themyscirans. They go to war with each other. and the world starts to end, and you have Batman's dad takes over as Batman and starts, killing people. He's got guns, and it's mayhem. Which actually, I'm sending you that comic book this week. I have your Glass, and I have Dark Knight Returns and Flashpoint in there for you to read.
And I'm sending you Wolverine.
So yes, I have those for you to read. But Flashpoint's my favorite storyline. They're doing Flashpoint. We're gonna see Michael Keaton is gonna be in it.
I'm excited about that. That's the Batman I basically grew up with.
We're getting Ben Affleck as Batman again.
Oh,
No. First of all, save it, because Ben Affleck got a raw deal. He was what I wanted in a Batman Bruce Wayne. I hated it at first. I was like, Ben Affleck's Batman. What the fuck? But he played like the grumpy old man kind of. Yeah, they took his character in certain directions I agree with, but I still love the movie. But he's gonna be back. So he read the script apparently and was like, hell yeah, sign me up. So I'm kind of hoping that he sticks around for some more, at least cameos kind of things. I don't know. We'll see. Jim Lee said that Ezra will get his name from Grant Gustin's Flash. If you watch any of the CWs, Crisis happened, and I believe Barry Allen in the Flash, he somehow ended up on the multiverse is a thing. He ended up in the cinematic DCEU.
It was amazing.
Flash, yeah, and they met each other. And so, Ezra Miller's Flash didn't have a name yet and so they're saying that he's going to get the Flash name from Grant Gustin's Flash, and so that's kind of cool. Like, we're bridging movies and TV shows now, and that opens it up. Maybe these guys will eventually maybe make an appearance later on down the road, and you're gonna have a bunch of different Flashes or stuff running around.
Right. Don't watch those shows. I recommend watching if you just search like Elseworlds, you know how people do the breakdown and they do the behind, like the things you may have missed, like Robin from the old Batman and Robin's made an appearance, and you could tell by his outfit, and then he says something ridiculous, like when Chris Donnell said the Holy Rusted Metal Batman. It was so aligned like that. So even if you don't watch those shows, I highly recommend just going on YouTube and doing that, because the Ezra Miller scene was amazing, because they're both like, I didn't think this could happen. Well, I didn't think this could happen either. And then they're like touching each other's uniforms, and I don't want to say anything else, but like it's definitely worth watching. And there are some nods to the names, so now that makes more sense. So
yes,
yeah, hopefully they do Flash justice, because I was one of those like, no, Grant Gustin just Flash.
Right.
Nobody else is. So that'll be fun. And it looked like, is that girl he saved in the trailer Iris?
That's Iris. That is Iris. So you are gonna, in Zack Snyder's, there was like a little bit of Ezra Miller saving Iris West because they introduced her, which was cut out completely, and so they're adding that back in. And so you're obviously gonna have Iris West. She's gonna be in this. And also Bruce Wayne creates the new suit for the Flash, which we saw concept art for, and the suit looks really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, Batman creates Flash's suit in this movie as well, and I think it's gonna be amazing.
Okay. So they're doing like an Iron Man, Spider-Man kind of thing.
There are a lot of iterations of Bruce kind of working with Barry Allen, takes him under his wing. So I'm kind of hoping we get the Flash ring coming out of the suit from the Speed Force, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm excited for the Flash. That's my favorite character. So maybe we'll get some of that.
Yeah. I think you should save Suicide Squad for last, because there's a lot there.
Yes. So a couple things, video games. We got Gotham Knights, which is a video game coming out. It looks like it's gonna introduce the Court of Owls, which is a really, really good storyline if you haven't read. Court of Owls are like an ancient kind of, like superpower. They can't die basically. And so in this one, it looks like Bruce Wayne dies. So the Bat family has to step up. You have Damian as Robin. You have Nightwing. You have Barbara Gordon. It's separate from the Arkham Knight universe. So I think this is going to be a good video game. I don't think Bruce is actually going to be dead, because Batman never actually dies. So I will be interested to see how that goes. And then you have, in 2022, you have Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is announced. And that's like an open world, free roam video game. You're the Suicide Squad, and your mission is to kill the Justice League.
Oh.
So if you're a big gamer like me, I will be buying those, hopefully. I'm hoping they're on like the PlayStation 4, because I am not buying a PlayStation 5 anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm like Jon Snow when it comes to the video games. I know nothing, unless it's Tetris. I like Tetris. I remember playing Gods Among Us. We had a friend who had a friend that was like part of making that game or something, and he had a big party.
Oh, wow.
when that came out, and I remember playing that, and that's fun. But I mean, honestly, when I play those, I'm just hitting a bunch of things, and then if I win, it's like, ah, because I know nothing. So it's like,
I play a lot of sports games, and then I play a lot of Nintendo Switch. But I do play a lot of the nerdy. I'm looking like Marvel has a video game coming out next month. I'm going to be getting, and then I've played the Arkham Knight series, which are really good video games. And then, we've had the Joker. They've touched on this. There's going to be more Elseworld movies, such as the Joker. So they're really embracing the idea of the multiverse. So the Batman movie is going to take place in a different Earth, whereas Justice League storyline is Earth Prime, which is like our Earth. And so you're going to have like a lot of different just multiverse basically. So they can interact with each other. They're just not necessarily going to be tied. So I think that also leaves the door open for Ben Affleck to maybe come back as that Bruce Wayne in Earth Prime. And then, we're not that Joker that we saw with Joaquin Phoenix. He's a separate Earth. But if there are directors that bring solid ideas forth, they're willing to make a lot of these Elseworld movies.
They could have so much fun with that. I mean, you could even bring back Mr. Freeze. It could be done.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think I hope that they explore that and they have fun with it, but they do it properly.
I think now that they cleaned house from everybody who made that last Justice League movie, they kind of get it now. So Walter Hamada, he's like in charge now, and he really seems to get like, hey, we have so many untapped stories. Let's run with it. That's what makes DC great, is we have all these different ideas and crazy storylines to run with. So let's get crazy with it. And so we're going to be getting a lot of cool things. Season 3 of Titans, they touched on that, which I talked about earlier. I just finished season 2. They're introducing Red Hood, which, if you know anything about Batman lore, Red Hood is Jason Todd. Jason Todd gets beaten with a crowbar to death by the Joker and kind of gets put in a Lazarus pit, becomes even more crazy, and comes back as the Red Hood. And he's a bad guy at first because he's so mad at Batman, but then he also is kind of a good guy because he just cleans up crime, but his way of cleaning up crime is killing everybody. So he's
just like the Punisher.
Yes, he's more like a Punisher, exactly. And so I'm curious because Jason Todd is still alive at the end of season 2. Spoiler alert for Titans. I wonder if we're going to see any of that or if they're going to introduce a different Red Hood. As well as you're going to have Barbara Gordon is going to show up, and then Scarecrow is going to be featured in there. But Red Hood's the main villain. You'll have Scarecrow, who I love Scarecrow. There's a lot to do with Scarecrow in the Batman verse, and he's a really creepy villain. So
yeah, well, we know him from the well, not we, but I first was introduced to him with the Christian Bale movies.
Yes.
And I think he was also in Gotham. I liked Barbara in Gotham. I'm very behind, probably 2 seasons behind on that show, but I liked how they developed her character a little bit, where she was so sweet and innocent, and then I was like, wait, she's becoming a villain? I didn't know that.
I honestly never really. I watched like a little bit of Gotham, but I didn't like it. So but they introduced a lot of different bad guys, and yeah, you have the Penguin, you have the Riddler, I want to say.
Yeah, the Riddler.
Then, Scarecrow's in it, which I kind of was disappointed with Chris Nolan because he had a lot of potential with Cillian Murphy's Scarecrow in the Dark Knight universe, and they just didn't do anything with him. Mm-hmm. So I hope we get a good Scarecrow over.
Yeah, Penguin was great in Gotham, and I love that actor too. He'd been in Walking Dead and some other stuff, but he was a good Penguin, especially because the Penguin I was used to is Danny DeVito. So it was nice to see it. Not that
That's
I don't.
True. You haven't really seen a Penguin since Danny DeVito.
Right, and they took a very different stance on it.
Yeah, this kind of leads. Speaking of Penguin, a little segue action. Penguin is going to be played by Colin Farrell in the Batman movie. And if you saw the trailer,
I saw the trailer, but I didn't see Colin Farrell.
I'll send you a picture because it does not look like Colin Farrell.
Oh,
like,
that's
straight up. They did some insane prosthetics to make him not look like unrecognizable at all, and they might they might win another Oscar for costumes again, just like Suicide Squad did, because the prosthetic so far for Penguin looks outstanding, and they only have like a third of this movie shot. In the trailer they released was. I am there. Like I was a little worried at first, and I was like, of course we get another Batman, blah blah blah. But this is year 2 Batman.
And this Batman's known. I mean, I know he's in Harry Potter, but he's not a very strong character in Harry Potter, nor is he in there very long. And that's the only thing I've seen him in. But then to know who he is because he's in all those Twilight movies, like I've seen the commercials. Like I was a
Yeah,
little.
he's a great actor. If you've seen The Lighthouse, I recommend The Lighthouse. It's got Willem Dafoe in it as well. He's amazing. He's got the acting chops. He hates Twilight too, which is amazing.
I
He
have heard
hates that
this.
movie.
No, I think I've seen 5 minutes of Twilight at a friend's house and I had to walk out. It was as bad as a Hallmark Christmas movie.
I've never watched Twilight. I've never read, never watched. Not my thing. But Robert Pattinson is a great actor. And in the trailer, he's beating the shit out of this one guy who asked who he is, and I was like, "Oh my god, he's killing this dude." And then you get the line like, "I am vengeance," and I was like, "You know what? I'm here." And you get Catwoman, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. She looks pretty good so far. Her mask is bootleg, but she's just starting out. Like I said, this is year 2 Batman. So, and then you have Riddler and
Yeah.
Penguin. So this movie's looking. The trailer looks great, and they're going to start filming again, I think, in October. So
Yep.
the movie's slated to come out next October of 2021.
Yeah, I love the Riddler. I even enjoyed the Jim Carrey one, and I loved Riddler in Gotham. So I'm excited to see how he gets portrayed in this
There's
movie.
a lot of good things that you can do with the Riddler. In this one, I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head, but he played in that movie Prisoners with Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman, and he was like kind of a special needs character who they thought, spoiler alert, this movie's been out for like 10 years. They thought he was the killer of the kids, which he wasn't, but he plays like this really messed up kind of guy, and so he's got a lot of good acting chops, that actor does, and so I'm really excited to see what he does with that character. So I'm here for it. I'll be there. Batman's one of my favorite characters as well. Flash is the favorite. Batman's probably like 1B.
Right.
So I'm there. I know we're getting tired of a Batman movie coming out every year, but I mean,
Well, if they're
Wonder
good,
Woman-
it's fine.
That's how I feel. I'm just here for the comic content in general, so I don't care how much we get as long as we get it.
Well, now, Batwoman. So I have not watched that show. I've only seen her in the crossovers, and it's been Ruby Rose. I've seen her in 2 crossovers because they actually introduced her before she got her own show. But I know we discussed she was leaving, and so I like that they are not replacing her as Kate Kane. They're actually bringing in a totally different character and actress. Did you see that one? Yeah,
I did. I don't know. I've never watched the show either, but I do like that they're not going to try to just replace her.
Yeah. So they're bringing in Ryan Wilder, and she's a completely made-up character. So she's not wealthy. She like lives in her car, so they try to make her different. But I guess she has a lot of combat skills. So that's basically all the information I learned from it. But Batwoman's one of those shows I wanted to watch. It's just too many damn shows.
There is so much
complaining. I'm
out
not
there, and I don't
complaining.
have enough time. It's a good problem to have, but I don't have the time for all these myself right now. So I kind of prioritize, like, a Batwoman's one I'll probably get to eventually. And
Yeah.
it's just like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I got to prioritize I still haven't watched last season of Flash, and I got to do that, but
At least they're all shorter last season.
that's true, yeah.
It's easier to
So
get.
I'll get to it, and I do like that. I think they're going to explore trying to find what happened to Kate Kane, which, if you don't know, Ruby Rose, she got injured on set, and then she just she didn't like and wasn't enjoy. I think it was a mutual kind of breakup, and that's why she left. She wasn't having a good time, and it's a lot to be a lead actress or lead actor on a TV show. It's a lot more than a movie.
Well, I'm wondering though, because it sounds like she's just missing. So I think they're leaving it open for her to come back and do cameos or whatnot. At least that's the impression I got from it. And she was on Shark Week last week and in the after hours and talked a little bit about Batwoman. And, she didn't sound like she was completely done with the character, so to speak. So I'm guessing they're leaving it open. I think it's, you had even mentioned it before, like doing 23 episodes in a year, 21 episodes in a year. And like with a lot of, combat and all that stuff they're doing, her choreography. So it puts a toll on you that she probably didn't
Yeah, it
expect.
definitely does. And
So, yeah, so that'll be exciting, and a lot of people are very excited that a Black woman is going to be Batwoman. So that's awesome to get more diversity in that universe and just in general. So a lot of people are very excited about that. And
I agree. It is nice to see that, we're getting a pretty diverse cast because that's something you're not. One of the big things that CW is known for is like your teeny whitewashed. So it's nice to be like, hey, let's open this universe up. Like, let's show that, hey, a little girl who kind of doesn't have her place, just like Wonder Woman, like they can look up to Wonder Woman. Well, now they can also look up to like Batgirl, Batwoman. So
right.
it's gonna be great.
CW's gotten much better since like Dawson's Creek, and they even made fun of it in Supergirl when they're like, you guys are so diverse, you look like a CW cast.
Yes, I do remember this.
I think that might have been when Supergirl was still on CBS and they were doing a crossover with the CW show. But it was Callista Flockhart who made that comment. But yeah, so that's exciting, and I'm sure we'll see where comics imitate movie. I'm sure we'll probably see comics with her. I wouldn't be surprised at all in the near future. So is that the last bit other than Suicide?
No, we have. Wait, no.
Is it other than Suicide Squad?
You have Zack Snyder's Justice League director's cut coming to HBO Max. This is what I'm excited about. This is if you've been following ever since that god awful Zack Snyder, unofficially he left, but it was more of a like they kind of fired him without saying that he was fired. And so he filmed most of the movie. They brought Joss Whedon on, who pretty much refilmed the entire movie. They made it 2 hours strictly. It was awful. CGI Superman's mustache out. It was god awful.
Yeah.
Well, there was an online movement which was like a few million people strong. They made enough noise that AT&T Warner Brothers is like, all right, let's bring him back in. Would you still like to see your vision come to this life? And he was on board with it. All the actors, actresses really stood up for Zack Snyder. They seem to love working with him. And now we have this 4-hour-long Justice League movie coming out. It's going to be 1-hour increments, and they got a trailer yesterday. And so a lot of things that they cut out was young Darkseid, known as Uxas. I can't pronounce his name. But young Darkseid, in the history lesson, he shows up. You have Desaad, who is like his sidekick there. You have the original version of Steppenwolf, who doesn't look like the CGI crappy character. Black Suit Superman's in it. You're gonna have Ray Fisher's Cyborg. A lot of his part got cut out, and this was like his big break. And so a lot of his stuff was cut out. Well, now he's back into it big time, and the trailer was amazing. And so you did a lot of these things. It's finally good to see what happens from here, and that we're gonna get the Justice League we all should have gotten in 2017.
Yeah, and I heard there's not going to be any new footage or anything. This is all footage that was previously recorded.
Yep. It was all cut. The only thing that they're really doing is fixing up a lot of the CGI because a lot of that stuff got cut out. They never finished the CGI for it. Okay. And so they're doing a lot of CGI. That's where a lot of the budget's coming from. They're finishing all that, like Darkseid. They got to finish his CGI. Steppenwolf's CGI is going to get cut up a little bit. You have Ben Affleck before he had all of his problems. He's looking really good. He's not going to be that stupid campy, something's definitely bleeding. It's like, no, we're Darkseid hasn't fought us united. And so you kind of see that Batman that you wanted. And it looks really good. Like I said, 4 1-hour blocks is what it's going to be on HBO Max, I think next May.
Yeah, HBO Max, they're really just making sure everybody has HBO always. They're killing me.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, I'll just have it for Game of Thrones. Oh, I'll just have it for Watchmen. Oh, I'll just have it for Doom Patrol. Damn it. Okay.
Now I'm just keeping it. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and re-up my subscription probably next May as well. So nice. We'll see what happens.
We need.
But yeah, the last thing we do have is James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. They released the cast. There's like 18 people, and it's a lot of B-C-listers, but this cast is pretty insane.
And the fact that it's James Gunn, who is known for Guardians of the Galaxy, is like, it gives you hope that this will, because the last one I was super excited about, and it looked great, and the trailer looked amazing. And I actually have a friend who, he's like, you need to watch this video. This explains why so many of the DC movies are terrible. And it's because they focus on that moment and they slow that moment down. And then the trailer is full of those moments. And then the movie has those moments, and that's it. And so I think, like with Wonder Woman, obviously it wasn't like that. And I didn't think Aquaman was, I still have to finish it, but I saw most of it. I didn't think that was like that either. But that's a big thing that they do. So I feel like with James Gunn, it's going to be different. It's going to be better.
I agree. He can play with those. The thing that he does is he can play with those characters who are lesser known. And the cast list we have here is we have Savant, who is a self-styled vigilante turned blackmailer played by Michael Rooker, as you know, is Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy. You have Javelin, who is a super criminal and former Olympic athlete. Is actually a Green Lantern villain. Flula Borg is playing Javelin. I'm not too familiar with.
So he looked familiar, so I looked him up. If you watch that Bruise Brothers show on Netflix, it's about the two brothers that like own a brewery. He plays the monk, and he comes, over to America, and that show is so stupid. it's funny, but like they really push some of the stuff. It is funny, and they make terms that, if you're into beer, that you'll get, like, they reference Yakima Valley and certain kinds of things. But I mean, like, this guy's like very inappropriately funneling beer. I'll leave it at that. So it'll be interesting because that's the only thing I know him as, to now see him in this.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, and he's not American. I think he's German.
Yeah, I think so. We have Polka Dot Man.
Like, he's not American.
Oh, yeah.
Polka Dot Man.
We have Polka Dot Man, who he uses his spots, can be used for like deadly tools, things like that. It's kind of a sillier one, but I like the fact that they're bringing in someone like Polka Dot Man. David Dastmalchian, who, as you may know from Ant-Man, and then also he played in The Dark Knight. He was one of the guys that the Joker, Batman pulled him into the ambulance and had him tied up, and that's how he saw Rachel Dawes on his name tag. So that's actually a deep cut. He's been in the DC universe before.
Nice.
So he's there. You have Ratcatcher 2, who Ratcatcher has trained rats to attack. Daniela Melchior. Bloodsport, who his background is becomes obsessed with the Vietnam War, and his brother was a quadruple amputee because he went and fought in the war instead of him. And Lex Luthor convinces him that Superman's at fault, so he goes on a rampage in Metropolis. He actually wounds Superman with kryptonite bullets at one point, and Idris Elba would be playing Bloodsport, and obviously Idris Elba is like the biggest name there. Heimdall, another cross between two worlds. King Shark, played by Steve Agee, who's Ravager in Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's one of the Ravagers.
Or one of the Ravagers, you're right, I'm sorry. I knew I recognized him. Then you have Mongol, who is an alien supervillain, and it's actually I believe it's one of Wonder Woman's bad guys at one point.
No, she's one of the Amazon women in Wonder Woman, the actress.
Oh, really?
So yeah, because I looked her up because she looked familiar, and I was like, oh, she's you see her on Mascara as an Amazon fighting that actress. So I know they do that sometimes. You even see that in Marvel, which always drives me nuts.
Yes.
Like, I even had my doubts when they cast Chris Evans. I was like, no, he's Torch, and then I take all of that back. But
so sorry.
Like when they Cottonmouth, I think got cast for a future movie, and I was like, no, he's Cottonmouth. That's part of the MCU.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she had a minor role, and we've seen that with like Star-Lord's mom was in Captain America. So I'm sure nobody will really notice, but that's the only thing I had known her from.
Right.
So, and then the Thinker.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Thinker, which we had the Thinker in a Flash. Actually, he's a Flash villain, Clifford DeVoe. We had him in Flash season 4, I believe it was.
I remember. And he's in the wheelchair. And
one of those seasons.
Yeah.
He uses the thinking cap to project a mental force, which Peter Capaldi, who you'll know was the 12th Doctor, he's in a lot of good stuff. He's playing the Thinker, so I'm really excited about that because he's got some chops.
Yeah.
Salsoria, who is played by Alice Braga. She's in I Am Legend, New Mutants. I don't really know what Salsoria's powers are. Not familiar with her at all. Blackguard, who is a villain of Booster Gold, played by Pete Davidson from Saturday Night Live, or King of Staten Island.
Yeah.
You have not familiar with TDK personally. Then you have Weasel, played by Sean Gunn, because why else? Because they just love the motion capture. And then Peacemaker, who is a douchey Captain America. He's obsessed with peace, believes that the people he killed are trapped in his helmet and can offer him advice. He has a lot of mental problems, and that's actually John Cena playing him. So you're not seeing the lovable John Cena. You're seeing like John Cena gone kind of crazy. And then of course you have Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, and Amanda Waller are all set to return as well. So I think this is going to be a really good movie.
Right. But can we just take a moment to realize James Gunn puts his brother in these movies, Sean Gunn, and like he's a Ravager. He's Yondu's like #1 Ravager in Guardians, but he's also Rocket's stand-in. And now he's playing a rat, basically, a weasel, but he looks like Splinter if he was on like bath salts.
Yeah, he does.
Like, scene when he's like against the window. So if anybody's listening that has not seen these trailers, definitely check out the Suicide Squad trailer. It wasn't much. You didn't really see much. It was more just because there's so many big characters and so many big names or even small names, but are known to people who are into comic book movies. That it was still exciting just to see the introductions. But yeah, when I saw him, it went from trash.
I'm surprised they didn't actually have a trailer because that movie's been done filming for like a year now. They finished filming it a while ago.
Well, I think it would have been too long. There was just too many people.
True. Well, I also think that they're giving Wonder Woman her chance to kind of shine and push that out there because it's been delayed so far already.
Yeah.
So she's supposed to have been out in June. It's been pushed to October, supposedly. We'll see if that actually happens. But yeah, Suicide Squad's been done being filmed, and I kind of hope they keep a lot of these. Oh, we forgot Captain Boomerang. Goddamn, Jay Courtney's back as Captain Boomerang. I loved his. I actually like Captain Boomerang. He's a big Flash bad guy as well. So I hope they keep some of these guys around, but you already know half these characters are getting killed.
Yeah. I want to see King Shark. I like King Shark.
Yeah, there's a funny picture of King Shark, and he looks like so innocent and sweet. He's just like looking at the camera and waving, and I'm here. King Shark's getting some love, so I'm excited to see King Shark in action. I hope he survives. Harley Quinn's gonna survive. You won't kill Harley Quinn or Rick Flag. I hope Captain Boomerang lives. Thinker, I would love to see in a future Flash movie. So, and then I picture, this also leaves open. I'm surprised they don't have Deadshot coming back with Will Smith, but maybe he'll be in a different movie eventually as well.
That's a huge cast for somebody as big as Will Smith to be in.
That's true.
But,
yeah. So he probably was like, nah, sit this one out. And plus, James Gunn likes to play with the lesser known characters. So I think a lot of the lesser known characters are going to die, but some of those bigger villains we're going to see later on. And, other than Suicide Squad, we didn't really get any of the news. You have Ocean Master coming back in Aquaman 2, which is a big... I forgot that one earlier. There was no Green Lantern. There's supposed to be a Green Lantern HBO Max show, but we didn't get any news about that either.
Oh, they did say that there's supposed to be a DC Fandome TV series on September 12th. So if he's coming on HBO, maybe that will be then.
That makes sense.
So yeah, so September 12th, I'll keep my eye out for that. We might have to do another... whatever we have planned for that in the following episode, make it the DC Fandome TV one. But
Part 2, yes.
Yeah. So, and that TV one, I can have more to say than the movie, because all my contributions as far as movies are just, well, I guess past movies and some of the TV shows. But yeah.
Yes, DC's more my thing. Marvel's more of Hoppy's thing. So, but that's okay, because I'm educating her, she educates me, and then we educate you. So this is how it works. When our stream or internet's not dying and she's dying over here as well.
I need water.
Too much. It's too much.
That's because I'm out of beer.
But I am also out of beer, which is good timing because that's pretty much the end. That was our DC Fandome event. I'm really excited. I hope finally the DC universe is going to get on track and we can get some really solid movies out because they've been shit on for so long and it hurts my heart. And so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. So next week we'll be talking about season 1 of The Boys in preparation of season 2. Season 2 starts on September 4th on Prime. So let us know if you have any questions or whatever your opinions are. And if we got anything wrong during this episode, please call us out. Let us know.
Yes, I'm not perfect.
No.
Even Jesus made mistakes. So.
Yeah, he turned water into wine, not beer. Biggest mistake.
He's the reason why I'm born. Yeah. So. Call us out, make mistakes. If you got questions, feel free to DM us. You can find us on Instagram at HopsGeekNews. We are pretty active there, really good at answering questions. Like the last episode, we had some good questions come in. Catch us there. And then Thursday nights, catch us on Hoppy Hour and Hops News. You can also, our fellow cohorts, Feeling Lucky out there, shout out to them. You have to at Feeling Lucky Pod, and they're usually on Tuesday nights. And yeah, other than that, you can find me at Matthew Tyler and Hoppy at The Hoppy Mommy, I believe. Yep. Yeah, like, subscribe, share us. Let's make us better, and let's all just talk about nerd stuff and beer together.
Absolutely. And if we missed anything for the DC Fandome that should have been mentioned that wasn't, let us know. We'll talk about it next time.
Yes, I love talking about it, as you can tell.
I think that's about it.
All right. Well, thanks, and cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.